Everybody, my name is Isaiah Parrish on the show Star Studio with Rolling Out, and today I'm here with a special guest. Her name is Saniyyah. Saniyyah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was born in California. I had a military dad, so we moved around a lot. I was born in Cali, but I was raised in Virginia and South Carolina. Yeah, I'm a singer. I'm a creative. I just graduated from Juilliard in their vocal music program. So that's like singing classical music, performing operas, concerts, stuff like that. But I also enjoy singing outside, R&B, soul with a lot of my friends who are jazz musicians. I do a lot of gigs with them. And I'm also a recording artist. I just put my first EP out last summer. More things coming
Congratulations.
soon, but thank you. Yeah, I'm just an artist from down south, to be honest, based in New York City, just trying to do the thing. Just graduated. So
Just trying to find that next step. Well, let's go back a little bit. How
yeah,
are you introduced to music?
I was introduced to music by my father. He's a musician. He can pretty much sing and play any instrument by ear. If he just picks it up, he can figure it out. He was my first voice coach. He's a pastor.
Hmm.
So
Military
I grew
man,
up singing
pastor,
in
and
church.
musician.
Yes.
Wow, interesting.
So yeah, he was my first voice coach. I started singing in church. When we started our church, it was just us four, my brother, and my mom and my dad. So he needed all hands on deck. So I was the singer, my brother was the drummer, my dad
Mm,
played piano and keys and preached. My mom
mm.
presided. It was just us four. So that was like a huge influence in my music because it was kind of like a job. And I was like in fourth grade.
Yeah. So you started from an early age in the church. When did you realize that you wanted to go beyond the church? And when did you realize that music was more of your calling?
I think music has always been my calling, and I think I knew that from that early age. But beyond the church, I didn't even realize that I could do anything like bigger than the church or bigger than like my hometown until my junior year of high school,
Oh, wow.
which was COVID.
Hmm.
So a lot of things went on Zoom, and we had this master class with Juilliard teachers. And I sang for one. Her name is Amy Burton, and she's who I studied with when I first went to Juilliard. But I sang for her, and when you're in a master class, they're meant to like give you critiques, and it's like a coaching in front of people. But she cried, and I was like, I'm making a Juilliard teacher cry.
Wow.
And so that's the first time I thought I was like, I must be like pretty all right at
Mm.
what I do.
Did
And
was this a
so
song of your own? Which song did you sing for her?
it's this song called O Del mio amato ben. It's a
Hmm.
Italian art song by this composer Denaudi. So I sang it, and then she had me sing it again because she was like, "You kind of caught me off guard, so I needed to sing it again." And I was like, "Okay." That's when I kind of realized that I could possibly do something outside of church, outside of just the normal. I was singing at banquets and stuff, events for like charity and funding events and things like that, but I had never really gone outside of anything like that. So then my senior year of high school, I auditioned for Juilliard and I got in and I cried. Not because I got in. I cried because I was sad and I felt not afraid, but I felt like I was having to leave my church behind, leave my family behind. I didn't want to go to New York. I was like, I don't know nothing about that. I was very sheltered. So it was fear and also just like sadness. I didn't even realize what was ahead of me. So I was just very afraid and sad. And I just really didn't want to leave home.
This was your first time leaving your comfort zone, I take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And
and I
to
didn't
and
even
to
know I
jump
was good enough to leave home.
yeah, and to jump to New York, that's a big change. Like the Southern Virginia area straight to New York City, that's polar opposites. So I can
Yeah.
definitely understand. But you mind giving us a sample of that intro song that got you that made that lady shed those tears that got you into Juilliard,
Oh God.
put you on the spot a little bit.
Ooh, maybe, maybe a little bit.
Let's hear
Um.
it.
Oh, del mio amato ben, perduto e caldo. That's just like the first
That
line.
that is all I needed to hear. I definitely understand. To hear that, and this is over a Zoom call, so that's a testament to your raw talent. That is amazing.
Thank
But
you.
I said raw talent because this was before Juilliard. Going into Juilliard, how did you set yourself apart from other contestants, other people that applied, and process of getting scholarships? How did you apply? How did you go about that process and set yourself apart?
One thing I specifically remember that I did differently, or maybe not, I'm not sure what everyone else did, but because our auditions were on Zoom, you have to send in clips, and then there's another round of clips. And because it was COVID and I couldn't re-meet with my pianist and do all that safely, I just resent the same videos twice. And I was like, hope that works because that's all I can do.
Hmm.
So that was the first round. And then the second round, we have to like have a coaching on Zoom. And I remember I put on this outfit because fashion is also something I love and just expressing myself. And so I don't remember what I put on, but it was probably a little bit out there. And my mom was like, you need to like try to dress differently because you don't want them to look at you or a certain way. And I was like, Mom, if they have a problem with this, I don't want to go. I don't care who the school is.
What you
I'm
see
not
is what you
about
get.
to. Yeah, I'm not gonna change myself in order to fit a certain mold. And so she was like, all right. And I was like, okay. And so I don't know if that made a difference or if they even noticed that or if I was different than anyone else. But I think that having that attitude is something that I've had my entire life. Like my parents could tell you, I've always been like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm going to be myself.
Authenticity.
Yeah. And they definitely encourage that as well. Shout out to them for that. But I've always been committed to being authentic to who I am. And so I think that that was a big part of what set me apart. I wasn't trying to seem like anyone else. And it's also big to be proud of who you are, no matter who else is around you. Because these people come from a lot of different backgrounds that they were exposed to classical music way before me. They were taking piano classes way before me at like 5. I started singing at 5. They got piano lessons.
Hmm.
So it's like we're just coming from two different worlds. I knew that, and that was in mind, but I knew what I had to offer. And it's either people want it or they don't. For me, just being authentic to myself set me apart. And that's what sets everybody apart, to be honest.
We're each designed in our own way. Now,
Yeah.
going back to that huge leap from Southern Virginia to New York City, Juilliard is a whole new world. What versions of music or any sort of art were you introduced to that you weren't introduced to before you got there?
So I went to Governor's School for the Arts in Norfolk, Virginia, if you're familiar with that. It's pretty much like a mini Julia. There's dance there, there's vocal music, there's musical theater, there's visual arts, which is something Juilliard doesn't have. What else? Theater and instrumental music. So I was honestly exposed to all these art forms before I got there. What I wasn't used to was the level of expertise and talent that people my age could, achieve.
Create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was exposed to mostly everything. It's just like I wasn't exposed to the level of talent.
Did
Yeah.
you feel as though you matched up? Was there any sort of like imposter syndrome once you got there? Or did you feel like this is exactly where I belong and I can't believe it took me so long to get here?
A funny thing happened when I first got to Juilliard, and I got there, and during the first week of school, I realized that I didn't really want to be a classical musician solely. And so, in terms of like me and my classmates, I didn't really, we weren't on the same track. And so it was difficult to like compare myself to them because we had two different ideas of what we wanted to do. Like it's a very specific track to want to be a classical singer. You go to your undergrad, most people go to a master's degree, and then most people go to a young artist program or do some kind of residency at an opera house. That's not what I wanted to do. And I found that out really quickly, literally first week of school. And that's like coming from, I got there and I was like, I want to be an opera singer.
Mm.
And so I didn't really even get the chance to think about whether I was as talented as everyone else because I was like, I don't even think I want to do this anymore. But I was already here.
So so it was kind of like a step back before a step forward in a
Oh,
sense.
it was so many steps back before steps. I mean, I didn't feel like I started taking steps forward at Juilliard for myself until like my junior year. And I found out that I wanted to, not solely be an opera singer because I met my best friend Christopher, who's a composer there.
Hmm.
And it was like really new in our friendship. And I was like, I write songs. And he was like, oh, I'm a composer. And I was like, he was like, let's go to a practice room and show each other our work. And we did. And Christopher cried when I showed him like the first song ever written. And I was like, I think I just want to like be an artist, a songwriter, like stuff like that. But that caused me to have a really hard time at Juilliard because I didn't want to do what I was there for.
Understood. So once you did hone in on what you wanted to do, once you figured out what your passion was and what your path was, how as a Black woman did you carve out that space, being the minority at such a high level?
One thing I did my sophomore year, I had a concert. All my friends helped me put it together. I had no budget. It was like a huge production, and I just sang some of my original music and I sang some covers, and it ended up being like a really big deal. And people were like standing up, sitting on the dance bars, like it was a packed out room, over capacity. I did that in my sophomore year, and that really showed me that like people were supportive of who I wanted to be. But besides that, advocating for myself, saying, I don't want to be an opera singer solely. Not saying that I will never sing opera. I'm gonna have to go back to New York City for an opera gig tomorrow. But
Congratulations.
thank you. I don't know, part of it felt like I had to fight to convince myself and also some of my teachers and coaches. Like I had to deny classical music to be taken seriously, which on their end, I don't know how true that is, but I know for me, I felt like I had to hate classical music out loud for people to take me serious about not wanting to do it. So that was kind of a challenge. And I switched voice teachers as well. Like I said, I was studying with Amy Burton, and she was so supportive of this. I felt like we just got to a point where I had learned what I needed to learn from her, and I needed extra support. So I had this talk with her, and she was supportive. And I switched over to Kevin Short, who is a wonderful Black man from Maryland. And he
Shout out
took
to
me under
Kevin.
his wing and really helped me. I talked to Aaron Flagg, who was the head of jazz there. I just tried to advocate for myself. And that sounds really easy, but it was extremely difficult. There was a point where I wanted to leave Juilliard, take a gap year. I wanted to transfer to a different school. I remember calling my parents in the lobby sobbing, like, I can't do this anymore because I just felt lost. I didn't want to imagine taking like 12 classes per semester or more,
Mm.
and it's all in things that you literally don't want to do. So it was just like it was very mentally straining, and it affected my mental health a lot. So I didn't really
Mm.
feel better again until like my junior year when I decided to just change my perspective so I could get through the degree. It was a challenge. That part was a huge challenge, but by the end of it, I got a lot of praise for sticking with that and carving out my own path, and hopefully I helped make it easier for other Black women after me to be able to express and do what they want to do and not feel like they have to fit into this certain mold.
It's funny that you said somebody after you, sticking on that Black woman path. If you had the opportunity to meet somebody 4 years behind you on that same path, what advice would you give them?
I would say finish
See it
one,
through.
see it through, even though it's really challenging, just see it through because at the end of the day, you want that piece of paper that says I went to one of the best music conservatories in the world. You get that piece of paper and it says a lot about you. It says that I've been committed to my craft since I got on this planet. That's how much work it takes to get to a level where you're able to go to that school, and it's something to be proud of, which is something I'm still working on. But definitely finish the course, just get it done. If you made it in, that was the hardest part. There are challenges, but and then I'll also say cliche, but be yourself.
Authenticity.
Yeah, be authentic. That's what artists that try to be like someone else, they don't last. You have to be you have a special thing to offer, and only you can offer it. Fight for your craft. You know what I'm saying? If you get to a place where you're like, I'm not sure about this, that's also normal. We're very young, and I think changing your mind and being able to commit to the changing of your mind, that's a huge power. Yeah, not being able to or being able to change your mind instead of, well, this is what everyone around me wants me to do. That's a huge power because you only live for yourself. You know, of course my parents were like, nah, like, you know, we don't want you to drop out. We don't want you to transfer. But at the end of the day, if I wanted to, they couldn't stop me. You know, no one can stop you from doing what you want to do. Only you can. And any influence outside, that's you allowing people's opinions to shape your life, which is something you should never do. But learning that for me was very difficult. So if you could figure out how to have confidence in yourself, have confidence that you know what you want, and also understand that you might know what you want today and it might change tomorrow. That doesn't make you an unstable person. You know, that makes you a flexible person. You know, life is too short to commit to something you're not sure about. So, yeah, I think my three things: finish it, stay yourself, be authentic, and advocate for yourself. No matter how difficult, the worst thing somebody can tell you is no. And then you could go somewhere else where they'll tell you yes.
Or create your own path.
Or create your own path. I mean, it's everyone should create their own path. But you know, as we know about creating your own path, it's not easy to walk a path that's not already laid out. It's no one's separated the bushes yet. No one's killed the predators over there yet. You know, you got to do it yourself, and that's very difficult. But it's more fulfilling.
Of course. Well, now that you've walked the stage, and I'm glad that you did, what is next for you?
Next for me, well, I have a single coming out on my birthday, July 16th. It's
Okay,
called
happy early
Angel
birthday.
Face. Thank you. It's called Angel Face. I wrote it very recently. I'm also working on that'll be the single to a bigger project, but that's supposed to be a surprise. So I
Okay.
won't say too much about that. Yeah, I'll be releasing music and some visuals and a lot of fun things, but they're supposed to be surprises. So
Okay.
I'll keep that quiet, and then I'll be like auditioning for like Broadway musicals. I'll be auditioning for I really want to get into modeling. I also love fashion. I'm a visual artist. I draw, I paint. I would love to
Overall
like get
creative.
in. Yeah, I would just love to I'll be in New York and I would be trying things out. I was waiting to graduate just to like be free to do all the things that I want to do, playing with bands, putting my own bands together, hopefully. But it's definitely gonna take some time to build all that up. I'm really excited to get started. It's pretty scary, you know. A lot of my friends are going back to school and I'm just like throwing myself in the deep end. I signed a lease with no job.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. But it's like that's how life goes. That's what it's like to be an artist. It's always been that way. You kind of just start swimming and hope you don't sink. I don't think I'm gonna sink though. I think I have some exciting stuff ahead of me. I'm big on trusting in God's plan. Most of the opportunities that I've received have just honestly come from nowhere. I'm a big walk by faith, not by sight person. What's next? We will see. I have music
Okay.
coming out. That's for sure. That could be found like on all streaming platforms. I already have a project called Rough Drafts out under Saniyyah. It's on Apple Music, Spotify, and that's where Angel Face will be as well. Saniyyah the Creative on Instagram is also a really good place to see all that stuff that's about to happen. Because I
Okay.
just can't talk about it right now.
No, let's stay surprised as long as we know where to get it.
This summer is what I'll say is it's gonna be a summer vibe. Summer vibes are heavy on the way.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're on your journey, and I personally believe that it is a great method to throw yourself in the deep end because it's clear that you've done that before and you've executed to perfection. And I am excited. The people are excited for your journey. Thank you for being here with us today, and thank you for allowing us to get some in-depth on what Saniyyah is working on. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.